That kid on the two-point conversion play was wide open on the right side of the end zone, and the kid threw it about 15 rows over his head.
People crystallize Georgia and Alabama. They put them on the shelf above everyone else, and they're just not there this year. I thought the kid Beck was great on Saturday, but they barely beat Mississippi State, who is porous.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Welcome to hour number 2, live right here on this Tuesday on the early line on SportsGrid, all across that Spiz Grizz network. He is Dubsy. That is Dubs Anderson. I am Ben Stevens. This Tuesday, October 22nd, 2024, is the start of a new NBA season. The 2024-25 campaign tips off tonight with a doubleheader. It is banner night inside TD Garden in Boston. The Celtics will look up into the rafters as banner number 18 is hung tonight in Beantown. And then they will play a game on opening night against the New York Knicks, the team with the second best price and the best number outside of Boston to keep the C's from winning a second consecutive Eastern Conference crown. And it's a new era in Los Angeles. J.J. Redick is the head man. Bronny James wears a Lakers uniform alongside his father. And LeBron is still there entering year number 22 as the Lakers will try for some more promise this season. They welcome in the young Minnesota Timberwolves, who, of course, were engaged in a blockbuster deal just a few weeks ago to send Karl Anthony Towns to New York in a change for both teams. Dubsy, it's the opening night of a new NBA season. I cannot believe we have arrived already at a new basketball season, but here we are. We're going to get people set for tonight and for the entirety of this year in this second hour.
A little Tuesday tip-off, get to see the defending champs dropping the banner, and I'm most excited to see Bronny, LeBron. We got a new coach out here, West Coast, Best Coast, so a lot of pressure on the Lakers. I'm not buying in, but fantastic to have the association back in the mix. Benny, I feel like we just go a couple of months and say, NBA, nah, we're good. We got football, and then boom, it's opening night, and what a way to set the table. A couple of fantastic matchups with a couple of superstars in the mix, and I really do think Celtics, they're going to be the class once again, but I know there's a couple of different ways we'll jump in and find that value.
Dubs, hard to argue that Boston is not going to at least have the opportunity to be back to defend its 18th championship in franchise history, potentially looking for number 19. Basically, everybody is back that led them to that promised land in a championship a season ago. So oftentimes, every football Friday, we do a pick six for the NFL weekend. It's the anytime touchdown score, moneyline underdog, alt line, so on and so forth. But to start off a new season, whether it's the NFL, college football, MLB, or now the NBA, we give you a futures forecast and focused NBA pick six. Here are the categories that we will break down over this next 30-minute span. Our NBA champion pick, a team that they will beat in the NBA championship and that NBA finals. Our MVP selection for this year, another award, could be most improved, could be defensive player of the year, might even be rookie of the year. A win total that we like, to the over or the under, and a playoff best bet, either a team to earn a playoff berth, and of course that would be either from the play-in tournament, earning one of those final two spots, or just being in the top six, or perhaps a team to miss out on the postseason altogether. So Dubsy, let's start at the very top. Who will hoist that Larry O'Brien trophy once again at the end of this NBA season as that NBA title winner?
I mean, call me basic, call me a little straight up here, Benny, but I think it's going to be the Boston Celtics. You touched on the biggest strength they've got is they're returning this band of superstars. So no surprises here at a very short price. You take a look at the other side of things, I think a really good chance that the Mavericks are the team coming out of the West. I think OKC are going to be right there in the mix. The Denver Nuggets, we know they're going to be a part of the conversation, but I truly think the Boston Celtics will be the team to come and catch. They're young, they're youthful, they're durable, they can get it done in a couple of different ways. We saw that in the final series there last season, so plus 310. Yeah. Not that I'm excited about that number, but certainly the best roster in the association. They've got that confidence now. They're not second-guessing themselves. Can we get it done on the big stage? And you look around the rest of the league, a lot of teams are playing catch-up, and I think we've seen the best yet. So give me the Boston Celtics with a very similar fate to what we saw last season. I think they beat the Dallas Mavericks, plus 2,400, a little exacta there, a little NBA Finals exacta.
A rematch of last year's NBA Finals, and Dallas has a lot to look forward to as well, as Luka Doncic is the NBA MVP favorite entering this season. And Dubs, it's really hard to argue against the idea that Boston is at least not going to have the chance to be back in an NBA Finals, at least as the Eastern Conference champ and playing in the ECF once again. So that kind of delves into where I am going as well. The Celtics are my finalist pick. It's a plus 150 price to win the Eastern Conference crown. Dubsy, I looked at all the odds, right? I looked at the New York Knicks, the team that is seen to be the biggest challenger to the Celtics out east. Jalen Brunson, MVP contender. The additions of Mikal Bridges and Karl Anthony Towns, legitimate superstars, or at least can be right there for Jalen Brunson this season. And you want to look for value, perhaps. I just don't know if it's worth it, right? You're pretty much still trying to select the team that is the second peg behind the Celtics in the Eastern Conference. And Dubs, I did this last year. I do not like the Boston Celtics. I grew up where you live. I grew up in Los Angeles. I grew up a Lakers fan. I don't like anything to do with Titletown, USA, and the C's. But come the middle of March last year, I was looking around the Eastern Conference. There appeared to be that tier of three. The Celtics in front of the Bucks and the Sixers, but still from the price. Boston was plus 220 to win an NBA championship. And as I was reading the tea leaves, it became rather apparent to me that pretty soon the path that Boston was on, they had built such an advantage for the number one seed in the standings in the Eastern Conference. They would have home floor advantage the entirety of the playoffs, including a potential NBA Finals against anybody from the Western Conference. The path was going to make Boston, by the time we reached the second round, a minus money favorite to win the NBA championship. And that's exactly what happened. So I don't like the chalk on the plus 310 price to win the NBA title before the year has even started. And I certainly don't love just plus 150 for a team to win a conference championship before we even begin 82 games, let alone the postseason. But I really do believe there is going to be a point in late March, by the time we reach the playoffs, where Boston no longer has pluses in front of its numbers. They're all minus money, maybe even to win that Larry O'Brien trophy for a second consecutive year. So I go Celtics finalist at plus 150 to win the East. But give me the Denver Nuggets to win the NBA championship at 11-1. I still believe Nikola Jokic is the best player in the NBA. They just extended Aaron Gordon to add on to that roster. Don't care about the addition of Russell Westbrook. That doesn't move the needle for me. But Jamal Murray is back. I think Michael Malone's one of the best coaches in the NBA. In the Nuggets, Dubsy, as we try to forecast the season, right, and paint that path. The Celtics have been in the Eastern Conference Finals for the last 5 years. The Nuggets have at least been to the semifinals in the Western Conference 5 of the last 6. I expect Denver to be there once again. And we'll focus a lot on OKC and Minnesota and Dallas, the up-and-coming teams out west. I still think Denver is the best. So give me the Nuggets to win the NBA championship this year at 11-1.
Oh, the big fella, Nikola. He's probably fresh off riding those ponies there. But you take a look at the West, Benny. OKC certainly overperformed, overachieved last season. They're going to be up against it, trying to get back to 57 wins there for the Denver Nuggets. Certainly having that class. Our guy, Aaron Gordon, he got the bags. He's going to be motivated. And what a nice little complimentary 1-2 punch that looks to be for the Minnesota Timberwolves. I think it's a massive loss with Cat. This was a young team surging in the right direction. You'd be looking in that locker room saying, hey, I thought we were all bought in. Suddenly, not so much. Now you know what you're going up against. I don't think it's going to be as smooth sailing as we saw last season. And for the Clippers, Kawhi Leonard is my guy coming back. What is going on for the Clippers? It's tough to have any kind of confidence in them as a better.
Dubsy, we'll talk about the Western Conference and the kind of changing times we will see out west up next as we continue the NBA season pick 6.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the game starts so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
We continue the NBA season pick 6 to look forward to 2024-25. that begins tonight. Yes, it is the opening night. It is the season debut of an NBA season on this Tuesday, October 22nd. And Dubsy, both you and I looking at the Western Conference. You're going with the reigning Western Conference champs in the Dallas Mavericks. Luka Doncic is the preseason favorite to win NBA MVP. I agree with the pricing. I think Dallas will be back. But, Dubs, last year it was really interesting from the odds perspective and the standings perspective to follow the Western Conference. Denver was there, the reigning champs, Nikola Jokic leading the way. But for the entirety of the year, the odds kept thinking it was Denver and Phoenix and the LA teams, the Clippers and the Lakers, and maybe the Golden State Warriors holding on. I consider, although it sounds a little bit strange to say, Phoenix, both of the LA teams and the Dubs, as the old guard of the Western Conference. Because what we saw was the Oklahoma City Thunder earn the number 1 overall seed, Denver at 2, Minnesota the number 3 seed out west. The Clippers somehow, some way stumbled into 4, and the Mavericks at 5. The Dubs and the Lakers were both play-in tournament teams. LA did get into the postseason, and Phoenix finished at 6. And there's a lot of change from the odds perspective in the Western Conference entering this year. There's a lot of changing faces, of course, for these teams. Klay Thompson now in Dallas. Phoenix, though, returns everybody. KD, Devin Booker, and Bradley Beal are back under the guidance of new head coach Mike Budenholzer. The Clippers lost Paul George. Kawhi Leonard is already set to miss multiple weeks to start off this season. Not great for LA, and the Warriors look a little bit different. The Lakers seem a little bit older with LeBron James entering year number 22. Dubs, you saw those Western Conference title odds. It's not the teams we have expected to win the West in the last 3 to 5 years. It's those teams that have the young cores on the come up. OKC, the favorites. Denver right there. Minnesota and Dallas. Those are the 4 best prices to win the Western Conference crown entering this season.
Yeah, we know what we're going to get from the Nuggets there at plus 500. They're certainly going to be in the mix. They're bankable. They've got the best player in the association there, I would say, in the Joker, the big fella. But taking a look at the top of the board, OKC, I mean, what a standout year. What a breakout campaign they had for Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. SGA, you're partnering him up with the likes of Chet Holmgren. They lose Josh Giddey, the star Aussie, going across to Chicago. But they're certainly not going to take a backward step. But at plus 310, it's a short price to type your money for a very long season. I have reservations about the Timberwolves. Minnesota, I thought that 1-2 punch was certainly there with Cat and the Ant-Man. You've still got, obviously, Big Rudy targeting the boards, but that is a massive loss. A great addition there if you're a Knicks fan, but certainly not good for Minnesota and trying to make another run. And they were the young team that I felt just caught a couple of the old guard off guard there, if you will. They were playing with a lot of confidence and momentum going in to the playoffs. I think they could be a bit of a hangover coming back year 2 for a couple of those big combos. And taking a look a little further down the board, I think the price play here could be out in the desert with the Phoenix Suns. You take a look at who they roll back. I mean, Bradley Beal, if he can find that groove again, you've still got D-Book, one of the best in the business. KD, you've got Grayson Allen, who's obviously been in the weights room on the off-season. This is a market and a price that I would absolutely look towards playing the Phoenix Suns. I'm not going to touch the top of the board at plus 310 because the only way that can go is pear-shaped and then south in the wrong direction. And some of these other aging sides, it's really tough in trying to have confidence in the Lakers. Dalton Connect, I guess that's a nice addition if he can become that, high scorer for the Lakers night in, night out. But when you've got aging superstars like Anthony Davis, LeBron James, it's only a matter of time before Father Time brings their campaign undone. For the Clippers, it's really tough to know what you're getting at this point with Kawhi Leonard, if he's even going to come back this season or what's going on that side of things. And obviously the Golden State Warriors, Steph, Splash, losing, that 1-2 punch, Klay Thompson over there with the Mavericks. So it's a new look in the West. The old guard just continued to age. And I think the Phoenix Suns, Benny, you've highlighted, could be the price pickup at plus 950.
The Suns, the 5th and final team with a 10-1 price or shorter in the Western Conference. Phoenix's win total is still 48.5. Depth has been a concern. Grayson Allen has emerged in a big way. Just keep an eye as well on the Grizzlies. 15-1. Last year, of course, John Morant was suspended for the first 25 games of the season, came back, looked really good for about 2.5 weeks, and then suffered a shoulder injury that sidelined him for the remainder of the season. But Dubsy, the 2 previous years, Memphis was the number 2 seed in the Western Conference. 51 wins in 2022-23. The year prior to that, 56. Win total for the Grizzlies at 46.5. We'll highlight that in just a moment. All right, our MVP winners for the season. Dubs Anderson, take it away.
SGA, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, OKC, top of the board there in the Western Conference. Absolute breakout campaign from what we saw last season. There's no slowing up in terms of production. Was top 10, a lot of key metrics, and certainly losing Josh Giddey may even have to act as that facilitator as well. Was top 5 in points scored in the league, was top 10 in assists. OKC go as far as SGA can go, and what a 1-2 punch that Shai gets there with big bad Chet Holmgren in the mix. So if you're looking for the young teams on the up, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, my top choice in the MVP market, which looks to be one of the closer additions from what we've seen in the last few years. But one constant, always look towards the internationals. They've won 6 of the last 6. I think we can make it 7 on the balance. Give me SGA at a decent little price there as well, Ben.
You go to the Canadian, I'll go to the Frenchman, Victor Wembanyama, who was the unanimous Rookie of the Year in the NBA a season ago, the 6th unanimous Rookie of the Year in league history. 20-1 price on Wemby. He is a unicorn. He is a freak. He does things we have never seen. He averaged more than 21 points per game last year, over 10.5 boards per game as well. Led the NBA in blocks with 3.6. The Spurs win total is 35.5. Last year, they only won 22 games, but we're covering a ton of numbers down the tail end of the season. If Wemby can lead the Spurs over 35.5, a plus 360 playoff price, I think his MVP candidacy becomes even more attractive. But he's going to put up numbers that we have never seen, and thus I like a little bit of value on Victor Wembanyama at 20-1 in his second year in the NBA. Rookie of the Year, win total bets, and a make or miss playoff price. Next.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Let's fire through the remainder of our NBA season pick six. The NBA campaign tips off tonight for 2024-25. Now, we did not both have to select a Rookie of the Year option, but Dubs Anderson and myself, we did just that. I actually wanted Victor Wembanyama for Defensive Player of the Year as well, finishing runner-up a season ago, but he's a minus money favorite to start off the season. So we both went ROY. Dubsy, you're talking a lot of Windy City basketball in these next couple of picks.
Shout out, Shot-town. Let's take it to the city of Chicago. Bazelis is my guy. G League standout coming in for the Bulls here, putting up fantastic numbers. 6'10", the big Lithuanian American, and he's already got that experience at the pro ranks. So I don't think there's going to be a learning curve per se out the gates here. And I really do think he's going to have an impact on a Bulls side, which really doesn't have a lot of expectations coming in for a new season. Bazelis, he's durable. He can do it both ways there. 9'3", 1.8 assists last season. So very efficient, brings a bit of size there for the Bulls and can certainly get it done in the paint. So Bazelis still sitting there at 10-1, plus 1,000 will be my Rookie of the Year play. But Ben, I've got an inkling you're going with one of my other top choices there. So give us the sell. Where'd you go for Rookie of the Year?
The guy, Zach Edey, now is plus 290 to win Rookie of the Year, the incredibly short favorite. The guy that I was told would not be able to translate his skill level to the NBA. The guy that was the first since Ralph Sampson in the early 80s to win back-to-back National Player of the Year awards. Well, it looks like he knows a thing or two about basketball. He is going to be a huge piece for this Memphis team, huge in more ways than one, literal and figurative. 3 of 5 games in the preseason, Dubsy, for the Grizz, scoring in double figures, including a week ago against the Pacers, showing exactly what he can do, 23 points and 9 boards. A lot was made of this NBA draft class this past summer. Not overly illustrious, not star-studded. Who would emerge? Would it be the 2 Frenchmen, Alex Sarr or Zachary Rizache, the number 1 overall pick for Atlanta? Nah, it's a college basketball star in Zach Edey, plus 290 to win Rookie of the Year. You like Modest Bazelis, the Chicago kid, the native of Hinsdale, Illinois, to factor into the Bulls rotation. Dubs, might the Bulls win 30 games this season?
I think they'll go over 28.5, so to get to 30, I think there's going to be a good chance. Betty, look, we're buying in on the Windy City here. They had 39 last season, obviously missing a couple of pieces, but Bazelis, who I'm big on for Rookie of the Year, I really do think he's going to bring a bit of an impact year one. You've got the other, Nikola Vucevic. I think he's getting set for a bounce-back season. What about my guy, Zach LaVine? I mean, this guy's an absolute monster at full health, and you're really getting one of the lower win totals. I think it's the 3rd lowest win total set there at the FD Sportsbook. So 28.5, you're buying in early on this season because once that trade deadline hits, could lose 1 or 2 of these star weapons, but I just think they're going to be that sneaky team under the radar. Josh Giddey coming into the mix. How'd I forget about my guy, Josh Giddey? He is one of the best facilitators in the league, Benny. So Chicago, it's a buy low spot, 28.5. Really not going to have to do a bunch, but a lot of players who are still trying to show their worth in the association. Don't forget Ball there as well. So buy low spot for me. Give me Chicago win total over.
Lonzo made his return last week, Dubsy, after multiple injuries have sidelined him for multiple seasons. I'm going to the New York Knicks over 53.5. Why? I'm going to try to capitalize on the momentum. If the Knicks are going to make the NBA Finals for the first time in over 30 years, if the Knicks are going to be that second peg only behind Boston to win an Eastern Conference crown, it starts in the regular season. They have the talent. They've got the coach in Tom Thibodeau that takes no nights off. The last time the Knickerbockers won 54 or more games in a regular season, Mike Woodson, the Indiana head coach, was the head man inside MSG 12 years ago. It was the only time since 1996-97 the Knicks had won at least 50 games. The last time they won 50-plus games in back-to-back years, they won 50 a season ago. 93-94, 94-95. What happened at the end of the 1993-94 season? The New York Knicks played for an NBA championship. Over 53.5. Quickly, Dubsy, your playoff best bet for this NBA season is what?
Playoff best bet, Lakers to win the championship. No, sorry, I misread that graphic. The Lakers to miss the playoffs. What are we even doing out here on the West Coast? D'Angelo Russell, Austin Reeves, LeBron James, Anthony Davis. We've now got a first-year head coach, the podcast partner in JJ Redick, and young Bronny setting to get some reps in. I don't know what's going on here, Benny. It is not a good outlook for the Lakers. They're missing the playoffs. Don't buy in. Don't touch them. Don't go near them. I could do better than what we're going to see from Bronny tonight. Come on.
The Rockets will make the Western Conference playoffs. We round out the Pick Six. Prop perspective next.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
On a Tuesday night like this one, you need the prop perspective once again from SportsGrid's Tom Vecchio. Joining us for a second consecutive day, bright and early here on the early line. He was working the post-game show after a doubleheader of Monday Night Football to end out Week 7 last night. And Vecchio, no days off and very little sleep. I hope a lot of coffee and a great workout on this Tuesday to get us set for a new NBA season. Your futures focus, some bets for tonight's doubleheader, and the frozen frenzy is what I am being told tonight in the National Hockey League. Everybody in action on the ice. Vecchio, we are glad to have you here for a second straight day on the early line.
Of course, thanks for having me. Yeah, two games last night. One was very exciting. One was not. We have the NBA tipping off. We have 16 NHL games, like you said. As I always like to say, I'm in the mix, and tonight it's time to bet on the mix.
Oh, another bar. He said he didn't have anything, but he always does. We'll get to the New York Knicks and their opener tonight on banner night number 18 in Boston in just a matter of moments. But let's start big picture, Tom, and look at the odds because, of course, it drives the conversation for how we anticipate this season in the association playing out. Let's start out west, where it's a couple of new teams at the top, at least in the preseason expectation. Oklahoma City, the short favorites to win the Western Conference crown. Sure, the Nuggets are right there, but Minnesota tied for that second best price. The Mavericks, the reigning Western Conference champs, that fourth best number at plus 550. The Suns, the fifth best price at plus 950. Those five teams, all with three digits. And then, Vecchio, you get to the Grizzlies at 15-1. But then some names that we would expect to contend for a conference crown. The Lakers, the Warriors, very long prices. How are you approaching the Western Conference entering this 2024-25 season?
I think what we're going to see this year is going to be largely in line for what we saw last year and over the past few years, outside of the Clippers, which we're not expecting a whole lot from this year. And I also think it's interesting to note that a lot of the odds for season-long futures, for MVP, awards, they're all relatively the same. Like, we have a tight grouping of teams at the top. We have a tight grouping of players for MVP, which we'll get to in a minute. Personally, I like the Timberwolves. I think they are going to be coming down to the wire alongside the Mavericks. That's who I think we're going to see again in the finals. I think the Thunder will be there as well, but I don't want to bet on the Thunder, right? I think their numbers are super efficient. The lines are where they really, really should be. So I like the Timberwolves based on their odds, based on the team makeup. I think ultimately it's going to come down to them, the Mavericks and the Thunder, which, again, I'm eating the chalk here. But I think that's what we're going to see. These long shots are not going to make it. In the previous segment, you closed out, you said the Rockets will make the playoffs. I really like that as well. But that's a super long shot that we can't be going to for a championship or a Western Conference title.
Tom, Klay Thompson coming across there to Dallas to join the 1-2 punch of Luka and Kyrie. What do you make of this trifecta? Is there a chance that we could get vintage Klay putting up those monster performances on the nightly?
I think he's going to be more efficient. And I also think, change of environment, the pressure is off of him. He doesn't have to be the number two, like you said. He can be that third option. I think he's going to be an efficient shooter. I don't expect him to be a 20-plus scorer on a nightly basis because he doesn't have to play that role. If they can get the offense working, if Kidd has everything figured out between Kyrie, Luka, and Thompson, he's going to have a ton of open shots. That's what's going to come down to, because the opposing defenses are not going to be not worried about Luka and Kyrie. And I think Klay Thompson could have one of his most effective seasons from the field.
So, Vecchio, let's go over to the Eastern Conference from the odds perspective. When you look at it, it's the reigning champs in the Celtics and everybody else. Boston, before a single game is even played, is plus 150 to win the Eastern Conference crown. So I asked the question like this. It's a two-parter. First, do you expect the odds makers to be correct and Boston is at least back in the Eastern Conference Finals? And then secondly, who is that second team that might be able to rival the C's atop the Eastern Conference?
Yeah, Boston, they're where they should be. I actually expect Boston to be better this year, and it's not going to be maybe from a stats perspective. I expect them to be more free-flowing because that pressure is off of them. So they're going to be the best version of the Celtics we've ever seen because that pressure of the championship is off of them. I expect them to face the Knicks in the conference finals. I think the Celtics number is insane. Do not bet that number. The fact that Paul George is hurt, the fact that Joel Embiid is coming out saying he may never play in a back-to-back for the rest of his career, and there's issues with him. I think the Bucks are the answer. If you're looking for a realistic shot of saying who is going to challenge one of those two top teams, I think it's going to be the Bucks. The Magic are also very interesting. Who's going to step up alongside Paolo Banchero to be that number two option in Orlando? I think they're a team that's going to challenge a lot of those top teams, as we saw a first step from them last year. But I think, again, the answer will be the Bucks is saying, okay, we get a little bit of value and we actually get a good team makeup of who can challenge one of those top two teams.
Tom, for a lot of the early bettors jumping into play the East, if you look for the price play, you could land on the Pacers. Overachieved last season. They've got the 1-2 punch, Tyrese Halliburton and Siakam, but the odds makers are telling us they don't have a realistic shot of even being close in the Eastern Conference. What do you make of their chances?
I think it might have to do with their division. They're there with the Bucks. They're there with the Cavaliers, and whatever you make with Cavaliers this year, it is what it is. But it's still going to be tough competition. So at the end of the day, they're in a spot where they may not have home court in the first round of the playoffs. Like, we're expecting, okay, the Celtics, the Knicks. Again, I'm personally low on the 76ers, but they can absolutely have a top four seed. Then we have the Bucks. If I'm expecting the Magic to take a little bit of a step forward, the Pacers may not have home court advantage, and that's a big thing. So that's really where I come down to it. If you love the Pacers, or if someone out there loves the Pacers, there's obviously a large opportunity for you to jump on those odds early in the season because you expect them to continue that performance that they had last year.
21-1 for Indiana. Miami right there as well. The Heat have been a team that contributes to the Eastern Conference playoff outlook, as we have seen. So, Vecchio, when you look at the NBA championship odds, we just went conference by conference. If you're looking for value to match up a team's outlook and the price, what gets your attention first?
Yeah, it's kind of what I said at the top. Like we have this tight grouping of teams, and then we have a little bit of a drop off. Like people are going to say, "Oh, well, the Nuggets. We've been getting the Nuggets at 5-1, 6-1 over the past few years. I'm going to jump on the Nuggets." I think that's fine. Again, I'm expecting good things from the Mavericks this year, so I'm on board with them or the Wolves at 10-1. But like we're getting to a point where the NBA is the odds and the skill is being funneled into a handful of teams where it's not like other leagues. Like we don't have some open market where you could say some team at 21 realistically has a shot to win the NBA championship. It's going to come down to one of these 6 teams. So if you like the Wolves, you got to stick with them at 10. You like the Mavs, stick with them at 11-1, but there's really not too much value outside of that.
Taking a look at that chasing pack, Tom, who's going to be up against it in terms of trying to match that benchmark they set last season? We know the Nuggets have got the class, but what about a team like OKC, or could the pressure be too much in New York for the Knicks?
I think OKC is a team that I think they need to maintain things early. If they start off slow, that's what I'd be most worried about. I think SGA is a phenomenal talent. I think he can absolutely win MVP. But just their team makeup, I want to see what they have. It was last year just a blip on the radar, or was this going to be the new standard in OKC? For the Knicks, they're kind of like all in. I think if they struggle, they have to make an impact move. They just spent like 4 first-round picks or whatever to get Bridges from the Nets. So if they start off slow, there's going to be aggressive changes from the Knicks front office to keep them in that race.
3 guys have won the last 6 NBA MVPs. Nikola Jokic has 3, Giannis Antetokounmpo has 2, and Joel Embiid, of course, the 1 2 seasons ago. The Joker has won 3 of the last 4. He's got the 3rd best price this year, but Luka Doncic, Vecchio, in this final minute, is the NBA season MVP favorite entering the start of the year tonight. How do you make sense of the MVP market?
I want to bet on Victor Wembanyama, but the Spurs are not going to make the playoffs, and that's what it comes down to. You have to be a good player on a good team. Even when Westbrook won it, when he averaged a triple-double, they were the 6th seed when he was in OKC. So, again, I think the answer is going to be someone like Anthony Edwards, where we get enough value. He's going to be a top team. We're not betting on one of the chalky options, and that number 8.5-1 is probably going to drop to 4-1 before Christmas.
Jason Tatum right behind that, 13-1. Yeah, I don't think so. We'll talk about the doubleheader on opening night that starts in Boston next.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Opening doubleheader of the NBA season. A new year tips off tonight, and it starts where last season ended, at least where the Larry O'Brien Trophy resides. That's in Boston. The Celtics, the reigning champs, will watch banner number 18 hang in the rafters inside TD Garden, and then welcome in the New York Knicks for a great start to this 2024-25 NBA season. Tom Vecchio is back with us for a second consecutive segment. Vecchio, we just looked at the long-term and future odds for this season. It's a matchup on night number one of the two teams with the two best numbers to win the Eastern Conference crown. The Celtics, well, in front, and the Celtics a 5.5-point favorite for banner night in Beantown. Total now at 223.5. Of course, there will be the celebration. There will be the atmosphere of anointing a champion. What do you expect the actual basketball game to look like?
I expect the over tonight. Again, I expect these teams to come out firing, specifically from the Knicks side of things. And as I mentioned in the last segment, I expect the Celtics to be the best version of themselves, like a version we haven't seen because that pressure of the championship is off of them. I expect them to be totally free-flowing. Yeah, will they go through some hiccups early in the season, especially on the defensive side of things? That's what I'm expecting. So I want to actually focus in on the Knicks tonight. As I said, we want to be betting on the Knicks. And I want to start off with Jalen Brunson, over 37.5 PRA last year. He was up at a 32.9% usage rate. They added Karl-Anthony Towns, of course. That's a big story for the Knicks. We have to figure out what that offense is going to look like. I don't want to say like I want to buy into a storyline of Brunson having like a sour taste in his mouth because he got hurt at the end of that Indiana series last year, but I'm expecting Brunson to come out on fire tonight, and especially the early portion of the season. He's going to lead this team. Will his usage and all his numbers be exactly the same with Karl-Anthony Towns in the mix this season? No, but I expect tonight to be a big night for Brunson.
And Tom, how does that change your handicapping, you know, for the bettors coming across first couple of weeks here in the association? Are you looking more towards the big names more so than the glue guys, especially going into a hostile environment like this, just because you can know that they're going to be bankable and get that production?
You would like to think so, and that's obviously different from a team-by-team perspective. Like adding Karl-Anthony Towns, a player that should be touching the ball X amount of times, that should be pushing towards a double-double every single night. You have to take that by a team-by-team basis. With that said, I think there's a lot of opportunity on teams that do have these massive changes, because if you are like seeing something in preseason or coach speak or whatever it might be, that there's going to be a change in role and the markets haven't been adjusted, there's a lot of opportunity to jump on a young player that's going to be seeing more time in the rotation, to fade a vet that may not be playing as big of a role. Like, I don't expect, if Paul George was fully healthy, I would be taking unders on him because I don't expect him to play a big role. I'd be taking unders on Tobias Harris in Detroit because they should be trying to develop their young talent and not getting a vet the ball X amount of time. So those are the storylines you can absolutely make some serious profit on early in the season.
Jalen Brunson expected to lead the New York Knicks to a deep playoff run, expected to contend for the MVP award. He has the highest points prop on opening night in Boston, 28.5. There you see the numbers for the Cat in his debut for the New York Knicks, 21.5, 11.5 rebounds. The Celtics bring back basically everybody. They paid basically everybody large sums of money this offseason after winning the NBA championship. Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Derek White, Drew Holiday, the list goes on and on. No Kristaps Porzingis for the Celtics, though, at least in the opening month, maybe the first 2 months or so of this NBA season. All right, let's go to Los Angeles. A historic night. A father in LeBron James will more than likely play in an NBA regular season game alongside his son, Bronny James. Now, on the other side, it's the Timberwolves. As we get ready for this game tonight in L.A., the T-Wolves, an ever so slight favorite on the road in Los Angeles. Now just a point, only 8 cents of difference on the money line. The over-under stands at 220. Just a couple of interesting numbers up there on the board. Anyway, sorry about that, Vecchio, but it's expected to be competitive. How close of a game will we see in Los Angeles?
I think the Timberwolves win. I think they win by 5+ points. I think we see the over tonight. It's going to be some scoring. The Lakers team, I'm not expecting a whole lot from them this year. There's going to be a lot of storylines, a lot of, different things we have to key in on throughout the year for various reasons. But this is a Timberwolves team that we have like really high expectations for. They just traded away Karl-Anthony Towns. They bring in Julius Randle. I'm expecting the Randall role to be somewhere the same for Karl-Anthony Towns. We also have Randall going up against his former team. It's not his most recent former team, but it is one of his former teams. So let's go to Randall over 1.5 threes at plus 114. He's average hitting at least 1.7 threes or more each of the last 4 seasons. Karl-Anthony Towns took a good number of threes last year. So did Julius Randle. And Randle was often up taking 6, 7, 8 threes per game. He's never super efficient with it, and it doesn't matter because we don't need him to be efficient. We don't need him to hit 2 out of 4. He can hit 2 out of 8 because the volume will be there, and overall the pace of the game will be there tonight.
Tom, Lakers grabbing 1.5 at home. Before we talk about the sideshow in Bronny James here for opening night, what is the bigger picture for the Lakers? They really don't bring in a lot of new weapons. I mean, Dalton Connect has been okay going through the preseason, but it's right around a pick him to make it to the playoffs or miss the playoffs. I went the latter, but what do you make of LA's chances making a bit of a run?
Yeah, I would say, like you said, it's nearly a pick 'em. Whatever side you're on, it can't just be like a minor play. And this is just how I view things, especially when like the odds are so close. Like you have to take a stand, and you have to take a stand like early in the season and probably throughout. If you want to fade the Lakers time and time again, you think they're going to be too heavily bet, you think LeBron's PRA bets are going to be too heavily, the lines are going to be super inflated, start taking under, start fading the Lakers on a night-by-night basis. Like, you can't be like, oh, in the beginning portion of the season, I'll do this, then I'll change it to that. Like, you have to have your stance and be, like, pretty firm with it the entire season.
Year 22 for LeBron James starts tonight. You saw the props for this game. How much will the absence of Karl-Anthony Towns impact this T-Wolves team that played in the Western Conference Finals last year and was the series favorite entering that set against Dallas? But, of course, there will be a ton of storylines that follows the Lakers and Bronny James. Will he make his debut? The Lakers have said they expect him to play in a competitive flow of tonight's game. Vecchio, here are the props. This is my favorite. First assist to his dad, LeBron James, at a 2-1. The first field goal that Bronny James records, assisted by his father, at plus 250. We'll get Vecchio's thoughts on the Bronny James props in the Frozen Frenzy tonight in the National Hockey League. It's all next on the Early Line.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
It is NBA opening night. It's the frozen frenzy in the NHL. All 32 clubs, 16 games in action on the ice tonight. But Vecchio, before we continue to dive in to your ice advice, we must get your thoughts as you do provide the prop perspective on the props surrounding Bronny James. Again, the Lakers have said that he is going to play tonight in the season debut. Rip off the Band-Aid, make the storyline, have fun with the narrative. That's all good. They have said he is expected to play within the competitive balance of a game that is a virtual pick'em, despite not really being in the active rotation, but that's neither here nor there. We showed the props before the break. Again, shout out to our producer, Joe Frieso, our graphics producer, Jesse Metzger, for not saying, as it does on FanDuel, assisted by LeBron James, but instead his dad. Where would you, if at all, Vecchio, place hard-earned American money on Bronny James tonight?
I guess it would be first field goal assisted by his dad / LeBron at plus 250. Like, get him to get the ball to Bronny, knock down a shot, which is a different thing in its own right. But like you said, rip off the Band-Aid, get this done and over with. They have games to win. You know, we discussed it. Dubsy, you said it, like, the Lakers are very, very on the outside looking in. Like, they're not going to be a solidified playoff team. Get this over with, start picking up wins, start focusing on basketball, and move on. Like, that's what it has to be.
So, Tom, we're playing the situational trends. Opening night, they're going to get this one in the bag, move on to the next. I mean, what is the expectation for Bronny? What have you seen going through the preseason? The numbers weren't fantastic until the other night, which I guess was okay, but it's tough to really endorse that he's going to be a superstar at this level. Are we playing the long game that maybe he can figure things out, learning off some of the best, including dad, going through the rest of the year?
Yeah, you would like to think so. And ultimately, like, the worse the Lakers are, the more of a chance that he has to play in the rotation. If they're actually somewhat competitive, he's probably not going to see time because they need to have connect in there more. Like, they need to have a solidified real NBA rotation. The worse that they are, the better chance he has to actually see court time this year. That's what it comes down to.
We'll see, right? He's a part of the active roster. That's interesting for a second-round selection at the very start of his NBA career. You wonder how the locker room feels. I'm sure there's not any disdain as of this moment. But if things go south this year, and it's not expected to be a classic Lakers season where they're one of the 4 best teams in the Western Conference, we shall see. Frozen frenzy tonight in the NHL. All 32 organizations in action. That means 16 total games. So, Vecchio, let's go piece by piece for your top props here in the early going of this NHL season. The Utah Hockey Club makes the card tonight. Who's tickling the twine for Utah?
Yeah, let's start off with Logan Cooley for a goal at plus 320. Going up against the Senators, they're allowing 3.69 goals per 60 minutes in 5v5 situations. That's the 4th most in the league. Logan Cooley has 6 points in 6 games. He's playing on the second forward line, the second power play. All 6 of those points are assists. He's fully involved in the offense. He just hasn't scored yet. He's taken plenty of shots. The Senators are not good. Don't want to be going there. Let's go to another Logan, just by pure chance. Logan Stankoven on the Dallas Stars, a rookie. He did play a few games last year. He did play with them in the playoffs. He's also on the first forward line, second power play. He doesn't lead the team, excuse me. He has 14 shots, which is the 3rd most on the team. He is tied for the team lead in points with 7 points, but they're all assists as well. Fully involved in the offense. He's just not scoring. Going up against the Senators, 2.93 goals allowed. Finally, let's go to my New York Rangers, Vincent Trocheck, for 4+ shots on goal at plus 116. He leads the team with 17 shots. Going up against the Montreal Canadiens tonight, they are allowing 75.6 total shot attempts per 60 minutes in 5v5 situations. They are porous on defense. There's also a note that for the Rangers, Alexi Lafreniere may not be playing tonight, and that means the line with Artemi Panarin and Vincent Trocheck would have some extra player on there. So let's just trust one of the best players in the league, the team leader in shots, to take a shots tonight against one of the worst defenses in the league. All 16 games. I'll have plenty more picks on Twitter throughout the day. 1 pick for each game today.
So let's also talk about Dallas, huh? Sorry.
It is all about Dallas. I think this is a chance that Dallas has two teams in the finals again this year.
Oh, all right.
Benny, I was going to jump in. Tom, while we got you, I got to get some early numbers, early outlook. The odds makers are telling us it's all about the Edmonton Oilers, but a little concerning, the sluggish start to a new season. Are you buying in for a turnaround?
They will turn things around coming into the season. I don't think they will make it out of the second round of the playoffs, and this has nothing to do with them. It's because the league is so difficult. I think we should be buying in on a team low, buying in on the Predators who start off super slow. Vegas will absolutely be there, and of course, I think the Devils are one of the best teams in the league.
Double duty on back-to-back days on the early on. Vecchio, we thank you. Hour 3 up next.